everybody. Thank you all for coming. We have four guest speakers and women guest speakers that will speak how we can kind of empower women in Web3. I'll be mainly just moderating and asking questions because what we want to hear is their opinion. Uh, so yeah, I would maybe Denise, do you want to go first and kind of introduce Serge and you, and then maybe pass the baton to Juliet?
Yeah, of course. So, hi, everybody. I'm Denise. Juliet and I met during Kernel Fellowship a few months ago. And I had started a self educating journey into crypto and gone down the rabbit hole. And I felt that there were a few issues that I wanted to help fix within the space. Number one, when I was on my journey, I felt that there wasn't a lot of easily accessible educational content. And in order to learn, I had to really go everywhere on the web. Felt that the space was very male dominated. As I started to feel super interested about Web3 and its technical capabilities, I would sometimes try talking to my friends about it. And they found that if they were ready down this hole, they found that the language was very intimidating. And I realized that was really discouraging for people to even attempt to enter the space. So I met Juliet and we were seeing sims in this space. And so we set out to create Surge. And we started with educational content and, making it really easily simplified and simplifying these difficult concepts. And we created our Discord, which has become a safe space for women to learn with each other. We allow women as allies. And it's really a place where you have all kinds of people. We get people who have learned how to make a MetaMask through us, and then we get people that are the heads of DeFi companies. And it's awesome to have these women supporting each other in whatever step of their journey they're in. And we have a lot of exciting stuff that we're working on, and we're really all about just trying to onboard as many women as possible and highlight as many women in Web3 as possible. That's what we're up to at Search.
Thank you, Denise. Maybe Juliet, do you want to go next and kind of introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here and speak with all of you. I guess just following up with what Denise said, my background is more in software engineering. And so definitely, from my just personal experiences in the professional space and seeing the lack of women involved and, seeing crypto as this beautiful intersection between the financial and the technical, which have, two industries that have been traditionally male dominated. It's been honestly just super empowering and validating to be on the Surge community and tap into the stories that so many women have been bringing forth and sharing insights on their journeys, their experiences, where it's been easy, where it's been hard to connect with the Web3 space and really make sure that we're voicing out sort of the importance of the gender equality in a space that's growing so fast and that will, take over a big portion of our lives. So maybe having that said, I'll pass over the baton to Lucia.
Thank you, Juliet. So my name is Lucia. I started my crypto journey in 2018 while working in the tech event space and actually organizing a conference for Aragon project. And I must admit, I wasn't hooked from the beginning. It took me some time until I really fell down the rabbit hole. Um, I really got into the crypto space when COVID hit in the spring of 2020, when I started spending more time exploring DeFi space and playing around with different tools and protocols. And then I felt like I discovered this whole new world that not many people are aware of, despite being accessible to everyone. And by accessible, I don't mean in terms of, I mean in terms of technology, not necessarily in terms of culture and language. It was a time when crypto markets started surging, and only those who were exposed to it were actually benefiting from it, which was dominantly men. So I started sharing my story and also teaching my girlfriends how to start investing because I wanted to bring more people into the space who are not who don't have that easy access to it. And then from there I decided to launch a course to help more women to start investing and learning about crypto. And from that course, the community actually emerged. It's called Crypto Cheetahs, and right now we have it on Telegram chat, and just trying to connect more women with each other, help them to learn about crypto, and encourage to actually do things in the space.
Thank you, Lucia. Sanja, I think you're the one that's missing. Sanja is an advisor for Talent Protocol, and we've been talking about this topic about gender gap and how to make sure we're can bring and make it accessible to women to enter, well, in this case, Talent Protocol. And yeah, go ahead, Sanja.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everyone. My name is Sanja. I'm the CEO of Utrust. Utrust is a Web3 payment solution that basically allows, in a nutshell, anyone to pay with cryptocurrency and anyone to get paid either in fiat or crypto. I never thought I would be working in crypto. My background is very different. So I spent more than a decade in digital e-commerce and large corporations before joining crypto. Worked for Vodafone, eBay, and PayPal. And actually, in 2017, when I started working at PayPal, my team was developing the payment solution for marketplace players. And I quickly realized how inefficient, how not cost effective at all traditional payments were. And basically, I started researching blockchain technology for payments in 2017. And I wanted to bring a layer of blockchain into PayPal payments. Long story short, it was really early and they didn't let me yet. But in the meantime, I researched all the major payment Web3 platforms already doing that in Europe. And he caught my attention. There was only a white paper at the time, so no MVP, no product. I met with the original founder, Nuno, and that's how we co-founded a company and started working together. And today is a special day for us as we've been acquired by Elrond, another great company operating in blockchain. And being a woman in blockchain and crypto, and I'm often few CEOs on the table and C levels. And I think this year and the next years to come, for me, my main mission will be how can I help and how can I influence more women to join the space, because it's the right time. It's an amazing time for women to come to contribute, and there is space for everyone.
Thank you, Sanja. Yeah, I think we have a very different perspectives to approach this problem. I think your perspective as a CEO and kind of a manager of a kind of big company. I mean, compared to most kind of crypto projects. Also, Lucia focus on community. Lucia and Sergis focus on community building and education. But I wanted to focus a bit on the problem. Try to pinpoint kind of what's the reasons behind kind of this problem of the gender gap in Web3. And Sanja, we've been talking about the problem when on protocol. And for those of you who don't know, Talent Protocol is a platform where anyone can launch a token for their career. And it has been an idea that's been a lot of people have been interested in kind of launching a token, kind of working on their Web3 professional identity. And so we're actually onboarding a lot of people to Web3 as well. So a lot of people think this idea is interesting, and this is kind of their way into Web3. And we've been seeing that in Talent Protocol, of course, the amount of women that apply are way less than men, and also the amount of women that actually go through the process is also way less. So it seems men do make that decision much more quickly, and women take a lot more time. They need more information. They're kind of more thoughtful about this decision of launching a token and what the implications of it might be in terms of regulation, tax, and all of that. So I think that's one of the things we've observed in Talent Protocol. maybe I'll throw it back to you, Sanja. From what we've talked about with the talent protocol example, what do you think are the key problems and reasons why we have a lot less women than men?
Yeah, I think in the specific case of talent protocol, but we can apply to any other major project in Web3. There are several points I think I would touch base, and one is what you were mentioning. So it's been proven that women are more conservative and more risk adverse than men, and that doesn't mean that women will not follow up. So I think women, when they have the right information, are more likely to follow up than men, but they need to have more information available in order to be sure that they can make the choice. So that's the first thing. But I think, the roots of everything go back to there are not enough women anyway in the tech space, in the financial space, and in Web3. So we have a lack of representation of women in general, but especially women in leadership positions. So it all goes back to the roots of one, educating women around the opportunity, giving them the right information, and setting an example as well, mentoring other women, because I think when we set the example, when women see that there are other leaders, there are other great women in the space, they will be more likely to follow as well.
Yeah,
Okay,
and if I can
go
hop
ahead.
in there, I think you mentioned a very important topic, which is really that role model. So for example, for me as a software engineer coming into the industry, it was something that was very intimidating from the start. Was that I felt like it was a place where I didn't belong. Right? People don't look like me. They don't. They speak differently than me. They're interested in different things. And so really having that community, which is why I think what we're building is so important, is super helpful. And then making sure, like you said, tapping into that feminine energy. We're generous, we're caretaking, we're really, there's a lot of attributes that currently have been shaped differently within these types of information pipelines that we can tap on to make sure we all sort of rise together.
I'd like to add there to the Juliet's point, like also when women that are not that much exposed to the tech space and still want to learn about crypto are curious, it can be a very lonely journey. So what I found with our community is that people that are more likely to actually like start learning and make a habit if they surround us with other people doing the same. So having someone like accountability partner or just to share this journey with someone makes it much more enjoyable and it actually feasible to do.
Yeah. I think someone said that to me recently, which is comparing women to men. That men are much more likely to have a friend or a group of friends where talking about crypto and tech is a common thing. So it's actually, even if they don't know and they're struggling to get into Web3, a man, it's easier to be to people that are doing so, and probably in for women, this is probably a bit harder, kind of to have that kind of expert friend on the side. And I think what we're doing with the crypto cheetahs and also Surge, kind of creating these communities where you have a buddy or accountability buddy or something that can guide you through this process, I think is will be key to kind of bring more women on board. Yeah. Hello.
Hey,
Welcome.
hi everyone. Yeah, so I think it's a great space actually. I am like I have become I've started my own journey as a founder very recently, and I'm building a crypto startup based out of India. I generally like I believe there are a lot of women in Web3, which has been which in which we have seen a lot of boom as come techs so far. But there is one problem which I face very much is say there are a lot of women out there who or there are a lot of other what do you say institution out there who write or say who signal in a way that they will be giving uh, a priority to or say in terms of fundraise, right? They say that they support female founders or things like that. But when you actually come to the ground reality in terms when you start messaging them or try to interact with them, it is not the same. So there is a huge difference in the signaling which is happening and the actual reality to which it translates to. I think personally, I have faced that a lot, and I don't know if other people in this platform kind of relate to that or not, but just wanted to bring that out, that that is one thing which I have been facing very much in my recent journey of fundraising.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump here. And congratulations on your startup, first of
Thank
all. Uh, I think it's true what you're saying, and I can relate. But I think in the end, the ability to, raise money or make a sale, it all comes down to your confidence and mindset. And sometimes what I see in the space, and it's completely true, is that women get demotivated and more intimidated more easily when they see the statistics. So sometimes they will not even show up to the meetings after a while with the right confidence and mindset. And I think as women working in this space, we need to get used to the idea that, not all the doors will always be open and there will be difficulties, but we stay in the right mindset, a positive mindset, and project confidence. Because in the end, I think if you have the ability to show passion for your product, to see that there is a great market for it, there is a great team, and you are great founders, nothing can stop you. So I think it really comes down to that confidence, that great positivity, and that great mindset, even in difficult situations.
Right, right. Very truly said. And actually, to encourage that, so I am here in India, in Bangalore, and I have partnered with few other female friends of mine to actually bring more women and educate more women on Web3. We are kind of hosting some events locally to interact with them and bring them more to the platform so that eventually we become a good community out here and kind of support the overall revolution which is happening worldwide.
Honestly, amazing work, Neha. That sounds very cool and super important. Congratulations. I just add to that something that I've noticed on myself that I think it's hard to sort of be self-aware about is our assertiveness. I think traditionally growing up, and I was born and raised in Panama, so I know there's cultural differences here for sure throughout the world. But I think we're very, at least growing up for me, I was very taught to not be confrontational. Women are sentimental. They cry. Are always all about their emotions. And so I was very strict upon myself to make sure to hide that so that I can be, competing against men and sort of be within that standard. And to a certain extent, ultimately, what that ends up leading when we get into the professional arena is that we do feel a stronger sense of imposter syndrome, or even just like Lucia mentioned, often a lack of confidence within what we're building. That really stems from either our fear of failure or from not wanting to risk sort of the confrontation and the contradictions that may arise from putting our opinions out there and the whole sort of public shame that can come with it. And so, on that regard, like something that I've seen really helpful, especially when coming into male centric environments, is that assertiveness of removing words like apologizing so much or saying, I think, saying maybe, saying this is just an opinion, and really, sticking to what we're saying, because if we're speaking out loud about it, it means that we believe it, we've studied it, we know our stuff as well. And really coming into terms with what we're speaking out, I think is super important in terms of fundraising as founders, and really just coming into a space where we are usually a minority.
Right, right. Totally agree to that. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so I know that in this space we talk about onboarding a lot and we talk about teaching and things like that. But especially when we're talking about women joining any space, we always want to make sure it's an environment that is one inviting and welcoming so that they would stay. So I just wanted to ask the panel, what are some ways that we can help more women and marginalized communities enter this space? But also more importantly, what can we do to help them stay here?
That's a great question. Thanks.
Yeah, so just I'd love to answer this. Did you mean, just to clarify, did you mean what can we do to ensure women stay in the space and their interest stays in the space?
Yeah. Just to go a little bit deeper, I know that I do a lot of work with helping underrepresented groups get jobs in the tech field and just explore that. But the key component with that is giving them something that will help them go beyond just entering. And so, with a lot of the conversations that we're having about onboarding people into Web3, especially like women for this conversation, I don't hear people talk about a lot about what happens after they enter the space and like what will help them stay.
Right, right. No, it's a great question and something that we've asked ourselves a lot at Surge. And I think this is where community aspect comes in and the importance of building a community of trust and of women being in this journey together. I think the space that we have created over at our Discord, it tries to facilitate. And so I think any community trying to get women together or onboard women, something to just stay up to date is community calls. We're thinking about doing trivia nights and game nights and starting subgroups within communities, getting people working on projects together, getting people pitching ideas together, and really just trying to be there for the community, and making sure that people feel like they belong to something, because I feel that the more you feel like you belong to something, the less likely you are to leave it. Just coming into something thinking that there's a lot of interesting information, but then nobody really checks up on you, nobody answers your questions, and then that's how I think people fall through. But when there's a space of fully engaged individuals learning together and getting to know each other, I think that's how you get retention and how you get people's interest to stay in.
Yeah, if I can just jump on that as well. I think the question is great, by the way, and I think for a woman to stay in a space and attained, I think it's important that she feels valued and motivated, and that she's growing. And there's an amazing book that I read recently. It's called How Women Rise, and I gave it to all the women in my team for. And it's really important because you get aware of any unconscious bias. And basically, the book talks about hundreds of cases comparing like how women and men work, and how women leadership and men leadership is different. And basically, it's a very long book. There are many points, but it says women generically are more reluctant to claim their achievements, while men are often the first ones to shout about their achievements and maybe ask for a promotion. And women are overvaluing expertise, for example, so they're trying to master every detail of their job in order to become an expert, in order to be an expert in a promotion. So things like this, we need to be aware of it as a leader, so that I will give the promotion not because someone asks me for it, but I'm looking at the goals and the results in the company. Or if I'm offering a promotion to a woman and she is reluctant to take it because she doesn't feel she's an expert, I will help her and guide her through that in order to make that jump. So I think is that unconscious bias that we need to really be aware of. So for example, when we are in a room that is full of men in our space, as most often it is, and a woman is not talking, I'll invite her to join the conversation. And I think, when women are invited, when they feel valued for the results they bring, they will stay in the space for sure. But we need to be aware of this bias.
Thanks for that, Sanja. I was thinking that, and by the Jade, I also think this is a great question, because a lot of the things that we see about onboarding women into Web3, including kind of the projects we have here, are a lot about, okay, let's create a community of just women so that they feel kind of welcomed and supported. But as you said, I mean, after that, they need to still feel welcomed and that sense of belonging when they're out of this just women communities. And I think what we see nowadays is from the kind of the marketing material, so how we sell and how we promote projects is a very kind of men kind of dominated culture, and even kind of how we communicate, I think, should include more underrepresented people, women, and all others. So I think that we need to feel that, make sure that everyone feels welcomed after they join, and that includes marketing materials, like I said, and also the way we build product, because I think by being a space dominated by men, it most of the time signifies that we're building products with a men's perspective. So I think it's very important on both on marketing and product building, make sure we have women's perspectives during that process, so they will feel welcome when they're using the products and when they're kind of just hanging around kind of the Web3 space outside of these women-led communities.
Right. And I think that's a great point when it comes to diversity within the workspace, because oftentimes, especially with these softwares and just Web3, decentralized applications in general, at the end of the day, software has no gender, right? And so if we don't have different minorities or a diverse team that's building the products, then oftentimes those small decisions that are made as you're building will contain the bias of the group that is building them. And so it's super important when it comes to the office and like the workspace in general to make sure that we're encouraging different minorities to join. Something I've seen, for example, from a developer perspective, is that when you look at the data of engineers sort of rising within their careers, they often end up dropping at like junior or a bit more than junior level. And this has a lot of different reasons. But it's a big reason to why women engineers are not, when they say like, oh, we can't find talented women within engineering, it's not because they don't exist, but because they drop off earlier, mostly because of the usual reasons why women, the different pay gaps, etc., across industry. But the interesting thing is that if we focus on, like Sanja was explaining, on working those policies, HR policies within organizations to encourage participation and to hire women earlier within their careers and be willing to train them and have them speak up, then that problem also looks, from the earlier root of where it's being originated.
Thank you. I think I hope that kind of helped answer your question a bit, Jade. Hi, Amita.
Hey, hi guys. Actually, I just also wanted to add on to the same things which I've faced. I take care of community for Wall, and I've tried to bring about more women to the spaces that I do, and I've found this on a recurring basis, not being able to find women coming out of these forums and speaking out, and I really, really, really want that. So I'm just putting it out there. I'm 100% on that with you guys, and it's so much important to not just not think about it and just invest in women in terms of building them up, be there when they are developing their skills. I have trust in them, and just have that platform for them. And being in the space, I've seen that need again and again. And one reason why I joined Wall was also because it was also giving an opportunity to have a woman representation on the top management, not in a hierarchical way, but in terms of impact. So that I can bring in more women and have that aspect in the company. So yeah, I strongly stand by whatever is being spoken here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Namita. Um, I was just thinking maybe we can change gears a bit. And Lucia and Denise, um, what do you, what have you learned kind of by seeing and onboarding these women into Web3, and kind of what do women usually kind of get excited about? What kind of topics or areas of Web3 and crypto do you think women get more excited about, and where do you think women can add um, to kind of the space as a whole? Is there kind of areas that you've seen?
Um, well, I think this is a really broad question, but to be honest, I think different women get excited by different areas. Um, I think women do love community, so DAOs seem to be really exciting. But, there are women that love finance and are super excited to work in DeFi. We see artists that are super talented. And I really do think this year we'll see a lot more female artists in the NFT space. Um, Out of all the projects last year, it's estimated that only around 5% were actually done by female artists. So I think we'll see a big surge of that. But yeah, I think women, like men, have all sorts of different interests and are wonderful in all of the areas and all of the spaces within Web3. So we're going to see women taking over a lot of different areas, and I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I think something that's a little bit different from men and women coming into the space. I feel like women are more drawn to the projects that have social impact, projects that are maybe like NFT communities that are also supporting some nonprofits. So, like, from that space of how can we help other people and like to solve real world problems with this technology and with crypto, not necessarily from the position of how can I make more money, I'll build more wealth. Um, and I think this year, actually, thanks to NFTs, we are seeing much more women coming into the space. And I'm very grateful for all the projects like Women Rise, Boss Beauties, Women in Weapons. They are the ones that are bringing more women on board. Um, Women are buying their first Ether, their first NFTs because of these communities. And this is just the beginning. And from this, they can go all different kind of directions. So what I would like to see more women coming into the space is let's say 2, 3 things. So one, also more women investing and sharing their stories and encouraging other women to invest, more women developers and UX UI designers, because UX UI is one of the major problems that we're seeing right now with the technology at this point. And I think bringing more women in those roles would help shape those products to make it more usable, more accessible, and yeah, to the wider audience, not just people that are used to um, technical stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Lucia. I think that kind of relates to what we were talking about, that women, if women are more involved in product building, then the whole space will be much more. But now let me kind of do the opposite question. So now I ask, how can women add value to Web3 and to what we're building? And now the opposite question is, how can Web3 tools, and like you mentioned, NFTs and women artists, how can NFTs, how can social tokens, how can all of these new tools we have at our disposal help kind of empower women and help kind of bridge kind of this gender gap that we have in the entire kind of world of business, not only Web3. How can Web3 help kind of even that a little bit more, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think happy to start with that. I would reconduct everything to one concept that for me is key. And when I see as well women joining the space, this is, the driving motive for them, which is financial inclusion for everyone, for every single aspect, not only finance, but for example, with what we're doing with UTrust, we are able to provide financial services to everyone, no matter of their size, no matter how big their company is. They don't need to be an enterprise company. They can be a small company in Africa, for example, and they're able to just download the plugin and use it in less than 5 minutes. And I completely agree with what Lucia said before. UX UI is fundamental, and especially for women. Sometimes, some of my friends that I'm trying to convert to come in crypto, they're like, what is this thing that you need to like copy paste an address? And it's like an alphanumerical code, and it's, really prone to error. So I think, we need to really work on solutions and products that solve for better UX UI. So it's really intuitive. And people can start using it even without having, blockchain or crypto knowledge. And I think, specifically with the idea of a career token and tokenizing your career, that's real inclusion for me. So anyone can create their token, can reach to new investors and communities, even if they were not able to do that before. So even someone that doesn't have a community built today, doesn't have the resources, doesn't have the money, now is able to have, the same exact privileges as someone that does. And that for me is real inclusion. And for women, of course, but for everyone across the globe.
Julieta, Lucia, or Denise, do you want to add anything about this idea of how Web3 can help kind of empower women?
I'd say companies, when they're hiring, I think it's important to put more emphasis on actively looking for female employees and then creating that culture from within, and providing education for the employees, and also like big protocols, big projects in this space, organizing more educational, putting more educational effort to bring more diversity. That's something that I think it's important to focus on.
Yeah, and if I can add something in as well, I think oftentimes we tend to think that like organizations and other people need to do things for us. And I agree that like, it's an ecosystem effort that we should all be combining for. But really also when it comes to women ourselves, like to be frank, this is an opportunity, right? There are less women than men involved. And that means that we can stand out more, we can be more assertive, we can study ourselves, position ourselves, and really, take it up on ourselves to also sort of fight these standards. I think the more that we get involved, definitely we all sort of support one another in building this trust, and ultimately it has profit. If you have a more diverse team, your product will be better. And so thinking of it from a business perspective as well, from our angle, I think is also very empowering.
Yeah, and just to add here to all of that, because of those that you guys both mentioned, something that we're trying to do at Surge now is we're working on a job board where Web3 companies and organizations can solely hire women and non-binary individuals. And this is an effort to bring more women into the conversation and into the workspace. And I think there's a big misconception that you have to be technical to work in Web3. And I think that in order for Web3 to go mainstream, that couldn't be further from the truth. So we're encouraging anything from marketers and people that work in branding and really any jobs that need to be filled in Web3. And the idea here is for these organizations to come to us and come to this job board to increase the gender diversity within their organizations. So that's one step we're taking at Surge to try and help with that.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you so much for your time today. Lucia, Sanja, Juliet, and Denise. It was a super interesting conversation. And yeah, hopefully that you four and the different ways will help bring more women into Web3 and Web3 better as a result. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Felipe.
So great to meet you all.
Bye-bye. Great to meet you. Bye-bye.
If today's episode inspired you, don't forget to follow us on your podcast app to never miss upcoming interviews. Also, if you would like to share your journey with us, you know any hidden talent, or you just want to keep in touch with us, you can find our email in the description.